we held a mega comparison for premium SUVs, but it wasn't so mega, as due to a variety of reasons, we only ended up with 4 vehicles. But when all was said and done, the Toyota Crown Signia came out on top.
One of those missing suspects arguably kicked off this semi-premium, slightly larger 2-row SUV trend though, the Nissan Murano. After a long time, the Nissan is back with a new generation, with new styling, a new engine, and a new transmission. So the question is, can the Signia beat the originator? Let's go find out.
We'll get you back to our near premium SUV comparison in a second, but first let's talk about protecting your vehicle. Custom made for an exact fit, WeatherTech offers full interior protection for your vehicle, including fancy SUVs like these. There's the original WeatherTech floor liner and new floor liner HP made from a more flexible material. Both work with your OE floor mat clips and protect up the side of your footwell, plus the floor liner HP comes with these spikes for even better grip. And let's not forget the cargo liner for trunks and hatchbacks, which is great to protect your vehicle from everything you might need to carry in your brand new SUV. All WeatherTech products come with a lifetime guarantee. You can order online at WeatherTech.ca, shipping is free anywhere in Canada. Or for those who are local, they can visit our retail showroom at 1164 Walker's Line in Burlington and get their orders the same day.
It's been over a year since we've had this 4th generation Murano launch, and I'm still not entirely sold on the looks. Now, on one hand, it has great proportions. If you look at it in profile, those characteristic huge wheels make the design seem a little more compact than its 193-inch length suggests. I dig how the Murano also uses that chrome blade from the Nissan Z, but then reformulates it on a bigger shape that still works. Plus, there's that cool X at the D-pillar where the roof line and the tailgate kind of intersect with it. It looks good. At the back, there's a full-width taillight that looks almost French, and it has a ton of little lighting elements within it, although they're very susceptible to dimming at angle, kind of like when you're watching an old TV. It's the front of the Murano where I'm sort of stuck. The Daytona mounting a Kicks nose is a choice, I'm just not sure it's the right one. Previous Muranos tend to set a style tone for Nissan, or they went their own way, whereas this doesn't quite do either. I also wish this tester wasn't IKEA white, though there is an advantage once you pop inside. Gosh, blue leather is just so cool. The Murano earns a few points back just for this color alone. No surprise too that the Murano, being the bigger vehicle, is the more spacious one too, although maybe not by quite as much as you might expect. Now up front it does have the advantage, not just in space but also in comfort. Nissan Zero Gravity seats are great, and these ones have heat, ventilation, and massaging, which is just not a thing you'll find in the Crown Signia. In the second row, you have a hair less headroom and about an inch less legroom than in the Toyota, and you also have a harder cushion for the seats, so it ends up being a bit of a wash. Keeping the second row upright, the Murano has the cargo advantage by around 30%, with nearly 40 cubic feet of flat load floor. The Crown makes more use of its seats down space though. Again, pretty much a wash. For the first time since the Murano launched over 20 years ago, it is not available with a V6, or a CVT for that matter. Now this one has Nissan's 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with variable compression technology, and it's hooked up to a 9-speed automatic, the first time Nissan as a brand has made that pairing. Now, the promise of variable compression is both more power and better efficiency, but the results are kind of mixed. On paper, this is actually the weakest Murano yet with 241 horsepower, but torque is up to 260 pound-feet, meaning the two numbers have essentially swapped places, and that's good because torque is what matters in day-to-day driving. Not that the Murano is actually the quicker of these two vehicles. Now, it puts up good acceleration figures in our real-world testing, but it can't quite match the Toyota with its instant access electric torque. Blame the bigger bones. At 4,380 pounds, the Murano is about one healthy man's worth of additional weight versus the Crown Signia. So one bit of oddness in the Murano is its throttle mapping. If I poke it, it downshifts and then it just holds high revs for a little, whereas most modern cars have some level of smoothness programmed in. And then if you switch over to sport mode, it's even worse and just plain jerky. Naturally, this non-hybrid model does struggle to match the Toyota's efficiency. Officially, the Murano is good for 23 miles per gallon combined, which is roughly 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers in Canada. Now that's slightly better than a Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, but it only matches the more powerful Hyundai Santa Fe, and it is well shy of something like a Mazda CX-70. Now, Muranos were typically pitched as sportier options within their class, what with their Z-aping colors, big wheels, and even the same engine as Nissan sports car. Now that's changed here. Nissan is pitching it as more of a wellness center on wheels. It's quiet, refined, and just a little stodgy. You feel the extra weight in the Murano too, especially after getting out of the low-slung Toyota. There's a lot of heft in the steering wheel, but not really any feedback, so it just feels like the Murano's tense, like it's waiting to relax. You also get a pretty busy ride over rough pavement because you have those big 21-inch alloys and thin sidewalls. Now don't get me wrong, the Toyota also rides firm because it's on big wheels too, but its suspension does a better job of dealing with body control and just getting settled a little quicker after big bumps. I will say that the braking in this is smooth and progressive though. Let's get back to this interior. As I mentioned earlier, the Nissan does have massaging seats, which are not even an option on the Toyota, but it is worth pointing out that they are pretty noisy when you activate them. The rest of the cabin design is good too. Like the Signia, the Murano goes for a distinctly upmarket vibe, enough to have folks question why they'd move up to the luxury sister brand. There's a satisfying wraparound look with a distinct raised area housing the twin screens. Below sits a slice of trim meant to evoke the blown glass of the island the Murano takes its name from, just north of Venice. There's just a little bit of texture to the trim, and the gold and blue color change lifts what's otherwise a pretty dark cabin. There are some touch controls embedded in the wood lower down on the dashboard too, and look, I know, actual buttons would be better, but this looks so cool. Nissan's twin screen setup is generally good. The main screen offers more functionality than the Toyota's, but boy oh boy is the navigation not pretty. I appreciate being able to operate the screen right from the steering wheel. Responses aren't necessarily the quickest, but I'm keeping my hands where they should be. Nissan's list of driver assists and safety features are pretty standard, and they all work just as you'd expect too, including nice little bonuses like a see-through hood or peek around the corner camera function. Nissan does have a hands-free driver assist for the highway. It's ProPilot 2.1. However, it is part of a $2,700 tech package in America, and in Canada, you actually can't get it at all. The Nissan undercuts the Toyota in both the US and Canada, though there's a big ol' asterisk for the latter. $51,795 is what this tester would equate to in America for 2026, just barely below the Crown's list price. Get the tech package or the black contrasting roof, and then it's even pricier. $56,828 is how much this tester would list for in Canada, which is a useful $4,000 and change below that of the Toyota. There's just one catch. Currently, you can't actually buy a 2026 Murano in Canada. This is a 25. Production was put on pause for the northern market a few months back because of those pesky tariffs, and while production is supposed to start back up any day now, we won't have pricing until closer to when it does.
I quite like the looks on the inside of the Crown Signia. There's nice rose gold-like trim details. There's one that goes across the dash. It's around the vents. It's on the door handles. Even in the rear seat, it continues. It just adds a little bit of visual style. And the way the driver information center kind of blends into the infotainment screen looks really premium. Toyota's just done a good job to make it look quite classy inside. There's also high-quality materials like the soft touch door sills in the front continue to the back. And on the exterior, well, it's your typical Toyota design. This looks a lot like a lot of the brand's vehicles, especially the cars, which makes a lot of sense because this really is just a big wagon. It's odd that this car has less space in the front seats than it does in the rear seats, but that is the case. Officially, there is more headroom in the back, and it feels like it. Sitting back there, things are quite airy thanks to the big side windows and the panoramic sunroof. But up front, you feel like you're in just a regular car where the roof feels closer to my head and the sides kind of slope in. Legroom in both spots, though, is really good. The cargo area is relatively deep, but not that tall, a trademark of a wagon body. Are you sick of me calling this a wagon yet? Because I'm going to a lot more. This car is powered by a 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine that's hooked up to a hybrid system. Total power is 240 horsepower, but we don't know the actual torque figure because Toyota never tells us that with a lot of its hybrids. That said, it's pretty safe to say this has more torque than the Murano. Catch the car at the perfect set of circumstances, and there's a lot of acceleration available when you plant the accelerator. Sometimes on the highway, I'm surprised at how quickly I can get up into arrest me speeds if I wanted to, of course. But when the battery is low, there isn't nearly as much power. It's really sort of dependent on how much charge you have to get that hybrid assist. The Murano, I'd say overall, is a little slower to accelerate and less powerful, but it's consistent, whereas this, it really depends on how much charge you currently have. The advantage of it being hybrid, though, of course, is fuel economy. This thing is officially rated at 39 miles per gallon in the city and 37 on the highway, easily beating the Murano. The Crown Signia weighs just over 4,200 pounds, which may seem heavy for the size of the vehicle, but this is a hybrid and that's actually kind of light, and it feels like it on the road. The steering offers a bit of feel and a bit of weight, but a lot of isolation for a more premium feeling driving experience than maybe a sporty one. That stated, because this is more car-like and more of a wagon, the responses in the Crown Signia are better than that in the Murano. The 21-inch wheels have 235mm wide tires, and again, they aren't really meant for outright performance, but rather for comfort. The all-wheel drive system in this vehicle, well, it isn't great as the rear wheels aren't actually connected to anything, and they only come in part-time when grip is needed. That stated, the Murano's system is a typical Nissan one, which is a lot more reactive anyway, so you know what, neither all-wheel drive system is all that great. There's less ground clearance here, only 6.7 inches, but this isn't going to go off-road as I just stated with the all-wheel drive system and the way it's designed. This is definitely more of an on-road crossover SUV wagon, whatever you want to classify it as. The Crown Signia in this fully loaded trim comes with what should be expected at the price point. You have power seats up front, driver memory seat, there's ventilated seats and heated seats up front, heated rear outboard seats, a heated steering wheel, all the nice comfort features one would expect. On the technology front, you have the customizable driver information center, the infotainment screen, the dual pane moonroof. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a wireless phone charger, dual zone climate control, power liftgate, you know, all the things that just make driving a little more enjoyable, and that's sort of what this class is all about. Safety front, same thing. It's got all the usual active safety systems one should expect, and rather than go through them all, basically, if it exists, it's here, except for full hands-free driving. One little feature that I do like is there's a dedicated headlight washer button on the dashboard, which is actually something that used to be in cars years ago and it's kind of fallen away. But with these LED lights that don't actually melt ice or maybe let the dirt run off as easily, it's a nice little feature to have. The infotainment system in this vehicle is okay and it's easy enough to use. I do prefer the Muranos, but I wouldn't say either are class leading, but neither are also the worst in class. They're both just acceptable. In the United States, the Crown Signia starts at a price of $45,585, including destination charges, and as tested fully loaded, it's just under $52,000. In Canada, there's less trim options and it only comes pretty much fully loaded, so it starts just under $60,000. With a few options added, our tester here is about $61,500. Hard to classify, this is a well-equipped premium vehicle. It gives you a little of everything you would want in the class: power, efficiency, comfort, luxury. Toyota's done a really good job with the Crown Signia and it continues to be one of our favorites in the segment.
This spacious Nissan Murano has plenty of user-friendly features, but it just comes up a little short against the Crown Signia in terms of a premium driving experience, fuel efficiency, and just that overall special feeling.
Yeah, Kyle, I agree, but we did it again. We have picked the lifted wagon as the winner in a near premium SUV comparison.
Yep, well, I guess that means the one true crossover can't be beat, and the Signia wins again.
Hell yeah.